Ever feel like you're missing the full picture? Like really missing something right in front of you?
Ah.
Well, that's Captain Delano and Benito Sereno in a nutshell.
Yeah. He's in for a rude awakening.
Big time. We're diving into this novella, this really tense encounter at sea. But it's not just any ocean voyage, right?
Right. Melville drops us right into this really tense encounter at sea, but it's 1799.
1799, not just any year.
No, it's the waning era of the transatlantic slave trade. Colors every interaction, every detail on that mysterious ship. You know, the San Dominic.
The San Dominic, that's the ship where all this goes down.
Yeah, that's the one.
So we've got Delano, he's our narrator. He's approaching this ship that seems to be in distress.
Right, uh-huh.
He sees Sereno, the captain, who seems like death warmed over, really ill. And then there's the crew acting all kinds of strange.
Yeah, and Delano, he notices some things are off. I mean, anyone would.
Right. But here's the thing. He keeps explaining it all away.
And that's where Melville, he really starts to draw us in, you know? He uses Delano's, you could say, skewed worldview to highlight the deeply ingrained societal biases of the time. This isn't just a story about a strange ship. It's about how those biases, those prejudices, they prevent people from seeing the truth, even when it's staring them right in the face.
Yeah, and it's almost frustrating as a reader. It's like, come on, Delano. Like, we see him notice the disarray, the crew acting all bizarre. There's even that whole knife incident.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
But he's so blinded by his assumptions about race, about power dynamics, he never even considers the possibility of a mutiny.
Exactly. It's like he can't see the forest for the trees. And what's really interesting is Melville doesn't let us off the hook as readers either.
We're right there with Delano, aren't we?
Absolutely. He uses Delano's perspective, this so-called benevolent racism, to make us question our own perceptions.
Yeah.
Like, would we have seen the signs? Or would we, just like Delano, be blinded by our own preconceptions?
It makes you think, for sure. And speaking of those preconceptions, let's talk about Delano's views on race for a second. Because he makes these, well, honestly, they're pretty disturbing comparisons between black people and animals. It's dehumanizing, to say the least, and kind of shocking to read now.
Yeah, and it's deliberate on Melville's part. Remember, he's writing just a few years before the Civil War. The issue of slavery, it's incredibly divisive. He's using Benito Sereno to expose the insidious nature of racism, even in its seemingly benign forms. He's showing how these prejudiced views, they distort not only Delano's perception of the black characters, but his understanding of the entire situation.
So it's like this vicious cycle.
Yeah, like he's trapped in this echo chamber of his own making, totally unable to hear anything that challenges his worldview.
Which brings us to the razor scene. Delano sees this really tense moment between Babbo, a slave, and Sereno. Babbo shaving Sereno. But instead of seeing the underlying tension, the power dynamic, Delano just sees it as a captain being cared for by a loyal servant.
And this goes back to what we were saying about Melville's use of symbolism. The razor, in Delano's mind, it represents order, control. It never even crosses his mind that it could be anything else.
Except for the reader.
But for the reader, it takes on a whole new meaning. It hints at the violence that's simmering beneath the surface. That razor, it's a loaded symbol, no pun intended.
And that's the thing about symbols, right? They can be so loaded. Like with Delano, it's almost like he's totally missing the subtext of everything he sees on that ship.
He's reading from the wrong script entirely.
Totally. Take Etufal, for instance. Huge, imposing figure, and Delano sees him in chains. Naturally, he assumes it's Sereno laying down the law, captain keeping his crew in line, that kind of thing.
It's such a classic power dynamic, right? Or at least it seems that way on the surface. But Melville, he's doing what Melville does best, flipping the script.
You mean those chains aren't what they seem to be?
Not even close. Delano sees them as a symbol of Sereno's authority, right? But for the reader, it's this really clever bit of misdirection. Those chains, they're how the mutineers are controlling Sereno, not the other way around.
Whoa. It's like a magic trick the more you think about it.
Yeah.
Melville really messes with our expectations. And to top it all off, he weaves in this real-life event like Benito Sereno is based on a true story that just adds this whole other layer to everything.
It's what gives the story so much weight. I mean, we've got the mutiny on the slave ship trial in 1805. Real Captain Amasa Delano stumbles onto a full-blown slave revolt. Melville takes that event and turns it into this haunting backdrop for Benito Sereno.
It's like he's holding up this mirror to society,
Yeah.
forcing people to confront this really uncomfortable truth about history by making it real, by connecting it to a real event. It's like Melville saying, look, this is not just some made-up story. This is the world we live in.
Exactly. And remember, the transatlantic slave trade, it was winding down when Melville wrote Benito Cereno. But slavery itself, that was far from over. Think about the Amistad case, just a few decades before. Enslaved Africans rising up against their captors, fighting for their freedom that resonates so strongly with what Melville's exploring.
It's easy to think about slavery as this distant thing, this historical event that's over and done with. But Benito Cereno, it forces you to remember it's not that simple. The legacy of slavery, the impact, it's still here. Even that final scene with Cereno clinging to Babo after he's saved.
Oh, man, that image.
It's powerful stuff.
Haunting. And it speaks volumes about the psychological impact of slavery. The trauma. It doesn't just disappear even when someone's supposedly free. That final line when it says Cereno follows his leader in death. Chills, man.
It really makes you think about what freedom even means, you know? It's not like you just snap your fingers and the trauma's gone.
Right. And the power dynamics, the years of that kind of conditioning, that doesn't just evaporate overnight.
And that's where Melville leaves us with these lingering questions like, is Cereno really free? Or is he still trapped by everything he's been through?
It's brilliant, really. He ends the novella on this note of ambiguity. It's up to us, the readers, to grapple with the complexities of freedom, the legacy of slavery, and how those two things collide.
It's like he's saying, okay, the mutiny's over, but what comes next? Like, how do you heal those wounds, the individual trauma, and the societal scars? Where do you even begin?
And that's what makes Benito Cereno so powerful. There are no easy answers. It forces us to confront these uncomfortable truths about race, power, and how limited our own perceptions can be.
And it's amazing to me how relevant it still feels today. Like, here we are centuries later, still wrestling with these same issues.
It's a testament to Melville, right? That he was able to tap into something so fundamental about human nature, about how we see the world and the stories we tell ourselves. All those biases we carry, consciously or not, they shape everything.
They really do. And Benito Cereno, it forces you to confront them head on. It's not always comfortable, but it's necessary. Absolutely. It's a story about the past, sure, but it's also a story about us. About this ongoing struggle for justice, for equality, for a world where those things actually exist.
So as we resurface from this deep dive, I'm left thinking, what's the real heart of Benito Cereno? Is it about the horrors of slavery, the complexities of race, or just how limited our own perceptions can be?
Honestly, I think it's all of those things woven together. It's Melville's tapestry of history, human nature, and the questions that continue to challenge us. And isn't that the mark of truly great literature? The kind of story that stays with you, that makes you think, that sparks these kinds of conversations?
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that understanding, much like Delano's journey, is rarely a straight line. It's messy. It's about asking questions, challenging our own biases, and digging deeper, always digging deeper. Well, folks, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Benito Cereno. Let's just say it's been a journey. Until next time.